Hi, and welcome to Curious Minds, the podcast where we talk about, well, everything that piques our curiosity. I'm Martin.
And I'm Eliza. We're so glad you're joining us today. As Martin said, we don't stick to one topic, and this episode is a perfect example of that.
Absolutely. We've got two really fascinating subjects lined up for you today. First, we're diving into the world of Bitcoin. It's been quite a quarter, and we'll be looking at its journey from pure speculation to becoming more integrated into the global financial landscape.
It's a huge topic, and it's always evolving. And then for our second discussion, we're taking a journey through time from the ancient epic of Gilgamesh all the way to modern-day Google Translate. We'll be exploring how artificial intelligence is truly reshaping the way humans communicate.
So whether you're a crypto enthusiast, a history buff, or just someone who loves a good conversation about big ideas, we think you'll find something interesting here.
Grab a coffee, get comfortable, and let's get curious.
Let's jump in.
Today we're doing a deep dive into Bitcoin's really dynamic Q2 2025.
Absolutely. A lot happened.
Yeah, it's a quarter that saw Bitcoin move, beyond just price speculation. It's integrating more fundamentally into the global financial system.
That's right.
Our mission today, get you well informed quickly about these fascinating shifts. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's do it.
So, kicking things off with Bitcoin's market resilience and, well, it's undeniably bullish outlook. Q2 2025, Bitcoin traded strong. Generally between, $105,000 and $112,000.
That's the range, yeah.
And it notched a nearly 30% price increase for a quarter, plus a new all-time high, $112,000 on May 21st.
Right. And what's really compelling there, I think, is Bitcoin's resilience. It held strong despite quite a bit of macroeconomic volatility.
Right, the inflation numbers?
Exactly. Specifically, the higher-than-expected PCE inflation, that personal consumption expenditures number.
Right.
Seeing Bitcoin hold up through that, it indicates, robust underlying demand. It signals a much more mature market than maybe we've seen before.
And it's really acting as digital gold, isn't it? We saw a clear inverse correlation with the weakening U.S. dollar.
Yeah, the dollar's down about 10% since early 2024.
So how did that play out specifically?
Well, the sources show Bitcoin basically absorbing liquidity, attracting capital that might have gone elsewhere, like traditional safe havens.
Because of the scarcity.
Precisely because of its scarcity and that fixed supply. When the dollar loses purchasing power, Bitcoin becomes this attractive hedge against, fiat devaluation.
Makes sense. And looking ahead, year-end predictions.
Exceptionally optimistic. The range we're seeing is $120,000, maybe up to even $250,000. Very bullish.
Wow. Those are some big numbers. Are there any potential headwinds, anything the sources mentioned that could temper those forecasts a bit?
Well, sure. I mean, they are projections, right? You always have possibilities like sudden geopolitical shifts or maybe unforeseen regulatory crackdowns.
Less likely now, maybe?
Seems less likely, given recent trends, but still possible. They can introduce volatility. But the fundamental demand signals from Q2, they suggest the overall trajectory is still upward.
Okay. So while price action always grabs headlines.
Always does.
The really transformative story this quarter, I think, is traditional finance embracing Bitcoin like never before.
Absolutely. The institutional floodgates really opened.
We saw U.S. spot Bitcoin ETFs attract over $40.6 billion in net inflows just through early February. BlackRock's IBIT, biggest monthly haul ever in May.
Huge numbers. But it wasn't just the ETFs, right? That wasn't the only game changer for institutions.
No, you're right. Tell us about that.
Well, the Financial Accounting Standards Board, FASB, they updated their guidance quietly but significantly.
The accounting rules people.
Exactly. And they now allow companies to report Bitcoin at its fair market value, not historical cost.
Ah, okay. That sounds technical but important.
It is important. It removed a major kind of psychological and practical barrier. It fundamentally changed how corporate treasuries can view and use Bitcoin.
So what was the immediate impact then?
Corporate Bitcoin holdings hit an all-time high, over $57 billion across, I think, 79 public companies.
And the MicroStrategy now, just strategy leading the charge.
Still leading, holding over 531,000 BTC now. But others too, even GameStop, through their Project Rocket initiative, they're making strategic moves.
So what are we seeing here fundamentally?
We're seeing Bitcoin used as a strategic reserve asset, a hedge against inflation, dollar depreciation.
Yeah.
It's profoundly reshaping corporate treasury management.
Okay, so beyond balance sheets, beyond corporate strategy. there's the regulatory side. That shifted too, right? From ambiguity towards clarity.
Yes, definitely. Legal clarity is now unequivocally driving adoption. We're seeing governments worldwide starting to legitimize digital assets.
Like MiCAR in the EU.
Exactly. The EU's MiCAR markets in crypto assets regulation, that's a landmark framework, provides much needed clarity. Plus, you have a new U.S. crypto task force, clearer rules popping up in the UAE.
So a more stable environment overall.
A much more stable environment, and that's critical. It also supports incredible innovation.
Like the Lightning Network, Bitcoin's layer 2.
Oh, precisely. Its public channel capacity has surged, something like 384% since 2020.
Wow. What's the significance of that surge? What's driving it?
Well, a key observation here is the accelerating integration of stablecoins into Lightning.
Ah, okay. So not just Bitcoin payments.
Right. This enables instant, very low-cost 247 payments using stablecoins on top of Bitcoin's network. This could genuinely position Bitcoin, or at least its network, as a competitor to traditional payment systems for everyday transactions.
Moving beyond just big value transfers.
Exactly. More towards everyday commerce.
Okay, but despite all this institutional adoption, all this tech progress, only about 4% of the world's population holds Bitcoin. Is that right?
That's the reported figure, yeah. It indicates just vast untapped potential.
But also challenges.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Big challenges in financial and technical education remain. But it also highlights this immense opportunity for future growth, especially in emerging markets.
And here's an interesting point from the sources. Stablecoins might be key here.
They seem to be playing a critical role, serving as this sort of low volatility gateway, especially for the estimated 1.4 billion unbanked adults worldwide.
Introducing them to digital assets without the immediate price swings of Bitcoin itself.
Exactly. It's a crucial bridge.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, Q2 2025 really seems to underscore Bitcoin solidifying this dual function.
Mm-hmm. Store of value and financial layer.
Right, a robust digital store of value and also a foundational layer for potentially a new, more efficient financial paradigm. It's a self-correcting, adaptive ecosystem.
Constantly evolving. Decentralized governance, tech upgrades.
So what does this all mean for you, the listener? Well, it means Bitcoin's relevance is only growing. It's bridging traditional finance and everyday users in increasingly tangible ways.
Yeah, the connections are getting stronger.
Here's something to consider, maybe chew on. How might that continued integration of stablecoins on Lightning truly revolutionize how we interact with money daily, making digital assets maybe less about just investment and more about seamless global commerce?
That's the big question going forward, I think. Really interesting times.
Okay, so when you think about what people search for online globally, what pops into your mind first? I bet it's YouTube. Right?
Oh, absolutely. YouTube's consistently #1. It's huge. Over 1 billion searches every single month.
Massive. And then you've got Facebook still pulling in like 670 million, WhatsApp Web 2 over 500 million.
Yeah, those platforms are just, they're baked into how we find things, how we connect.
But you know, it's interesting. While those giants are up there, there's this other search term, quieter maybe, but incredibly consistent.
Oh, you mean translate and yeah, all its variations.
Exactly. Pulling in, nearly 430 million searches a month. It's often hanging out in the global top 10, top 15.
It is surprisingly high, isn't it?
It really is. Translate right alongside the big social networks. It just makes you think, why is something seemingly so basic, so needed? So today we're doing a deep dive. We want to explore why translation is just so pervasive, how it's changing, and, what it all means for us in this super connected world.
Right. Think of this as your shortcut to getting a handle on a really fundamental part of, global communication today.
And what's wild is translation isn't new tech, it's ancient.
Oh, totally ancient. You're talking Mesopotamia, Epic of Gilgamesh.
The Rosetta Stone, right, helping crack hieroglyphs. Or even St. Jerome translating the Bible into Latin back in the 4th century.
And then the big leap, the printing press in the 15th century. That was a game changer.
Oh, so?
Well, it suddenly made translated texts way more accessible. It spread knowledge like wildfire and really created the profession of translating.
Okay. And even fast forwarding like the 1930s, people were already thinking about mechanical translation.
Yeah, early ideas, sort of like supercharged bilingual dictionaries, trying to bridge those language gaps mechanically.
So what really kicked off the modern era, the computer age of translation, and what were those first big challenges?
The starting gun really was Warren Weaver's memo back in '49. He basically proposed using computers for this.
Yeah.
That idea led to the famous Georgetown IBM experiment in 1954. They actually translated about 60 Russian sentences into English.
60? That sounds small.
It was small, a toy system, they called it. Tiny vocabulary, very limited rules, but it showed it could be done.
And the hurdle then? What was the big problem?
Context. Semantic ambiguity. The classic example is pen. Is it for writing or is it an animal enclosure? Machines just couldn't get that kind of nuance.
Right. So how did we get past that? What was the next big jump?
That came in the 90s with statistical machine translation, SMT. That was a huge leap forward.
How did SMT work differently?
Instead of hard rules, it learned from massive amounts of human-translated text, looking for statistical patterns, basically predicting the most probable translation.
Ah, okay. So Google Translate, when that first came out?
Yep. Initially used SMT back in 2006. That's what really made machine translation available to, well, to everyone.
And then more recently, the neural machine translation, NMT, revolution in the mid-2010s. What made that such a big deal?
NMT uses deep learning, neural networks. It looks at whole sentences to understand context, which leads to much more natural, much more fluent translations.
So Google switched over.
In 2016, to their GNMT system. And now you see generative AI models, things like ChatGPT or Gemini.
Right.
They're not just translating text, they're creating multilingual content, helping with research, even quality checks.
It's moving so fast. But why the massive demand now? It's not just the tech getting better, is it?
No, definitely not. Globalization is a massive driver. Think about it. Business is going international, e-commerce.
Right. I saw a study saying something like 3/4 of people prefer to buy stuff in their own language.
Exactly. And entertainment, too.
Yeah.
Global hits like, Squid Game on Netflix. Dubbing, subtitles, they're essential to reach that worldwide audience.
Makes sense. But this boom, it's creating some tension, right? AI makes things faster, cheaper maybe, but what about the human translators?
Yeah, there's definitely pressure. A survey just this year found over 75% of translators expect AI to negatively impact their income.
Yeah.
It's a real economic shift.
But even with these amazing AI tools, they're not perfect, are they? There are still big limitations.
Oh, absolutely. AI still really struggles with accuracy, nuance, especially idioms.
Like it's raining cats and dogs.
Exactly. Or cultural stuff, humor, politeness levels. AI might translate break a leg, literally. Not good.
Huh. Yeah, probably not.
So while AI might hit, say, 70-85% accuracy for general stuff if you need it for legal documents or medical texts, you still need that human level, that 95-100% precision.
So humans are still critical. What does that mean for their jobs then? How is their role changing?
It's changing fundamentally. They're shifting from being the only translator to being collaborators with AI.
Okay, so what does that look like?
It means managing the AI platforms. It means post-editing the AI's output, fixing its mistakes, refining the language.
And focusing on the stuff AI can't do well.
Precisely. The high-value tasks, ensuring cultural resonance, handling really creative stuff, or super sensitive material. It's less about being replaced, more about evolving.
So for you listening, it sounds like translators need new skills now. They need to understand AI, maybe some data analysis, definitely that post-editing skill.
And specialization becomes even more important. AI can handle the general stuff, but for legal, medical, literary translation, you still need human experts who get the deep nuance, the cultural context.
Where's this all heading next, you think?
Well, real-time translation is a big one, especially with 5G rolling out. Imagine instant translation in conferences, or even in VR or AR.
Wow.
Yeah, the market for just real-time speech translation tools. It's expected to hit something like $1.8 billion pretty soon, by 2025.
So pulling it all together, what's the main takeaway here?
I think it's clear the future is hybrid. It's a kind of machine-first workflow.
Meaning AI does the first pass.
Yeah. AI generates the initial draft quickly, efficiently, but then critically, humans come in to post-edit, review, refine. You get the speed of the machine, but the irreplaceable accuracy and cultural savvy of a person.
So not replacement, but partnership.
Exactly. A powerful partnership. So, we've traced this incredible arc from ancient scribes in Mesopotamia.
Right, through the printing press, those early machine dreams.
To today's neural networks and generative AI. And the one constant, that deep human need to connect across languages, especially as the world gets smaller through globalization.
The core idea for you then is that AI, for all its power, doesn't erase the human translator. It transforms the role.
Humans become the essential partners, focusing on that cultural depth, the ethical side, the tricky stuff machines miss. Machine first, human refined.
It leaves you with a thought, doesn't it? If these language barriers keep getting lower, keep crumbling, what does that open up?
Yeah, what new kinds of connection, maybe new forms of understanding, even creativity could emerge from that? What does it really mean for us, for our shared human experience to communicate ever more seamlessly across cultures?
Something to definitely think about as we keep exploring our interconnected world.
And that wraps up our very first adventure here on Curious Minds. Martin, what a ride from Bitcoin to Gilgamesh.
Absolutely, Eliza. We had a blast putting this together, and we really hope you enjoyed joining us on this inaugural journey into the vast world of curiosity.
We certainly did. If you liked what you heard today and you're as curious as we are, please do us a huge favor. Hit that subscribe button wherever you're listening to podcasts. That way, you won't miss a single episode of our future explorations.
And if you have a moment, we'd be incredibly grateful if you could leave us a review or rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps new listeners find us and helps us know what you think. Your feedback means the world to us, especially as we're just getting started.
Exactly. So from me, Eliza.
And from me, Martin Vogt.
Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with us. We've loved sharing our curious minds with you today, and we can't wait to see you back here for our next episode.
Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and stay curious.